Okay, we're back. This is Matgen110, Chapter 7 Notes. This is 7.3. Let's take a look. We're finding the lowest common denominator. So to do that, what we're going to do when it's numeric like this, we just break it down into its prime factorization. So that's all prime numbers. So 2 times 3, 2 times 3. So this 36 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. 24, 2 times 12, 2 is prime, 2 times 6, 2 is prime, 2 times 3. Is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Then to find the lowest common denominator, what you do is you take anything they have common. So look, they both have a 2, we take it. Both have a 2, we take it. They both have a 3, we take it. But then you also take the leftovers. So we take the 2 and the 3. So when you look back at your work, everything should be circled in some point. All right? And so what is that? 12 times 2 is 24 times 3 is, what are we talking about there? Oops, I'm on the wrong page. 48, 72, 72. 6 times 12. Yeah, 72. So our LCD is 72. What does that mean? What does LCD mean? The lowest common, well, in this case, denominator, because it's the bottom. Also sometimes known as the LCM, the lowest common multiple, meaning it's the smallest number. 72 is the smallest number that 36 goes into, that 24 also goes into. You take 36 times 2, you get 72. If you take 24 times 3, you get 72. And so 72 is the smallest number they both go into. So you've been doing this when you've been adding fractions in the past, common denominators. So what if they throw some variables into the mix? Well, it doesn't change that drastically here. We do the same process. So 3s squared t would break down into 3 times s times t. 6s t to the 4th would break down into 2 times 3 times s times t. So let's find the LCD. That's what they have in common first. So they got a 3. They both have an s. They both have a t. Then we take all the leftovers. So this 2 comes along, this s comes along, and those 3 t's come along. 1, 2, 3 of them. And now let's write it in shorthand. So LCD, the smallest term that these go into, both those terms go into, is 6 s squared t to the 4th. And so there's a rule for that where when there's variables with exponents, you can always just take the variable with the highest exponent. Even though you're finding the lowest common denominator, we can take the exponent, the higher exponent. All right, because we take all the leftovers. All right, so let's look at number 3. It's a little harder because you have y squared minus 9. That's going to be y plus 3, y minus 3, when we break it down. Y squared minus 6y plus 9, we're going to factor that to break it down. So multiplies to be positive, but adds up to be negative 6. That's y minus 3, y minus 3. And now we do the same thing that we did there. So the LCD is equal to, they both have a y minus 3. And then we take all the leftovers. So this counts as a leftover, y plus 3. This counts as a leftover, y minus 3. And that's our LCD. That's kind of a weird LCD, but that's it. Y minus 3 quantity squared, y plus 3. All right. Oh, this one's a little goofy. Negative d plus 6. If we just factor out or multiply top and bottom by negative 1, look at what will happen. This stays 5d minus 6. And then this becomes negative 10 d minus 6. So the LCD is given. It's just d minus 6. We just had to finagle the negative basically to the top. All right. So then for 5 and 6, to finish off 7-3 notes, 5 and 6, they want you to not only determine the LCD, but then multiply the two things to basically find the LCD. All right. So let's do that. Uh-oh. Well, I tried to make it so you couldn't see the nail holes, but it looks like that backfired. Now they're just darker circles. All right. Let's take a look at finding the LCD. 7x3y2, 8x, 15y3. So we're going to find the LCDs, but then we're going to multiply those to get the LCD. So 6x3y2 breaks down into 2 times 3 times 1, 2, 3 x's, 2 y's. 15y cubed breaks down to 3 times 5, y. And so when I find the LCD, I'll do that in red. We take the 3's, we take 2 of the y's, and then all the leftovers. So 2 comes along, 5 comes along, y comes along, 3 x's come along. So we end up with 6 times 5, 30, x3, y3. All right, so that's my LCD. But now I want to work it where I get 30x3y3, 30x3y3. All right, so we have to kind of work backwards. You look back and go, okay, look at what we have, look at what we need. So this is 6x3y2, but I need it to be 30x3y3. So the x3, we are good. The 6, we need to fix it. Multiply by 5. Whatever I do to the bottom, I also do the top. So 6 times 5 is 30. We're good there. x3, we're good there. This is y2, this is y3. So I need another y on there. And then 7 times 5y, that's 35y. So that's how we do that. Same deal. You look at it, it needs a 2 and an x3. It needs a 2 and an x3. And so when we look at that, we've got, what, 16x to the 4th on top and 30x to the 3rd, y to the 3rd on the bottom. Now, if you're very clever and you look back at this work, I had a student point this out one year, that look, the leftover ones, the 5 and the y, the singular circled ones, that's exactly what we had to multiply on the other one. And the 2 and the x to the 3rd, that's what we had to multiply on that one. So it's sort of like the leftovers are the ones that you end up having to multiply to get the common denominator. So if you have that work handy, it actually makes the problem a little easier. All right, let's look at number 6, and that'll finish off these notes for this section. We got 9, we got b squared minus 10b plus 25, and we got 8, and we've got b squared minus 25. So when we pull this apart, b squared minus 10b plus 25, that's going to be b minus 5 times b minus 5, right? A negative times a negative is positive, and negative 5 plus negative 5 is negative 10. B squared minus 25 is going to be b plus 5, b minus 5, the difference of 2 squares, right? So when I do the LCD, we pull what they have in common. They both have a b minus 5, but then we take the leftovers, b plus 5, minus 5. So b minus 5 quantity squared, b plus 5. So now, do yourself a favor. Rewrite this before you start and figure out what to multiply top and bottom by. Rewrite it. You already factored it right there. Just copy it. So b minus 5 there. And b plus 5, b minus 5 there. Now, write down your common denominator. So b minus 5, b plus 5, b minus 5, b plus 5. All right. So now let's see what we have to multiply by. Look, what I have, what I need. So I've got b minus 5, I got b minus 5. I need a b plus 5. So there's 9b plus 45. I have a b plus 5, got it. I got a b minus 5, got it. I need another b minus 5. 8b minus 40. All right. And that is 7.3. Next video will be for 7.4.